The music was recorded through bootlegs, rather, someone listening to the radio, putting their cassette tape player and pressing record. Or the most interesting was a lot of these bands would perform in these lavish old hotels that now kind of haunt Mogadishu's skyline, coastline. These old lavish hotels where people would come to the ballrooms to listen to these bands play, and people would take a recorder and put it on stage while they were performing, and they would just press record, and they would record the entire set for that night, and then they would take those cassettes and they would go to the market and sell them. What you had was a complete process of decolonization by the government, and they used arts as a way of decolonizing the country. So you had a boom of arts and culture at the time, and of course Somali being a very rich cultural society, a culture of poets, a culture of songwriters, a culture of theater playwriters. So this era was an era in which you had numerous amounts of bands that had come out, all youthful bands. Everyone who was performing at this time was in their early 20s. The high schools and the schools were de facto academies for the arts. They were birthing new bands every day. And so what you had in this era was a Somalia that was completely different from what we see today, where Mogadishu was a tourist hotspot that had luxury hotels where well-heeled tourists and some of the wealthier Somalis were able to go to the beachside resorts and hotels and then have dinner on the beach and then go to the hotels afterwards and listen to bands like Sharero and Iftiin and Durdur and all these magnificent acts. They're all part of the Somali diaspora now. None of the artists that we worked with actually still live in the Horn of Africa, whether it's in Kenya or even in Somalia. They all belong to the diaspora in Europe, Dubai, the United States. Some of them are still playing music in a much lesser capacity. One of the major artists is nicknamed Jerry. We found him playing at a hotel bar in Dubai. Some are running shops that sell clothes in Ohio in the United States. They are all part of the diaspora. Many still continue to play music in some capacity, but not in the lavish, grand capacity that they did when they were celebrated musicians in Mogadishu in the 70s and 80s.